to begin, and we're going to fly for you 3 very different and beautiful birds for your delight. Falconry, of course, is the ancient art of hunting with a trained bird of prey, a pursuit that goes back more than 4,000 years in our human history, and a pursuit that enjoyed its heyday during the Middle Ages here in Britain. Falconry is nothing more than an extension of bird watching. It's an art where a man takes a hawk like this very bird, and he trains her, so to speak, by drawing from her own natural instincts. He then uses those predatory instincts to catch birds and animals to the table. For the most part, this was done in history to provide food. But the rich, the wealthy, the titles, they didn't need to hunt for their dinner, so they could afford to buy it. So they hunted for sporting purposes, as a form of entertainment. So birds of prey have both fed and amused man for a terribly long time. And there are very few pursuits that still remain in practice in the modern day. But falconry does survive. And we are now going through a second golden age. There are more falconers today in Britain than there have ever been in the entire history of this sport. So what is it that is so captivating about working with the bird of prey? Well, I believe that it is the appearance of working with the wild. Because that is essentially what a bird of prey is, a wild, instinctive predator. And even though in the modern age, all of our falconry birds are captive bred, domestically reared, they have never known the wild. And yet they still behave and perform in exactly the same manner as their wild counterparts. And that's something that is a complete magnetism, a total draw to us humans. Now, falconry was so common in the Middle Ages that you couldn't go to a market square, or a church service, a jousting tournament, or a wedding without seeing men stood about manning and socialising their hawks. Falconry appeared everywhere within society, in art and literature and poetry. Heavens, even romance was compared to the bird of prey and its pursuit of the quarry. So there was much to be admired in both these birds and their performance. But if we're talking about performance, there was no more useful bird than the one we're flying for you at the moment. For this is the most relied upon provider of food throughout the whole of history. Known simply as the hunting hawk, this is the bird that has brought mankind his dinner for many thousands of years. The hawk family has always been favoured for hunting to the table, because for their size, they are the most powerful and the most predatory of all of the raptors.
Cool.
You can catch a surprising variety of birds and animals with this creature. Plentiful amounts of game that could stock your larder and happily feed your entire family. And in a period when the purchase of meat was incredibly expensive, hunting with a tool like this was a massive money and labour-saving device. What can you catch with a hawk of this size? Well, anything from rabbits and brown hare to ground-dwelling game birds like pheasant and partridge and duck. What we're doing today is we're flying for you the modern falconer's favourite hawk species. And ironically, it's a bird that medieval man would not have recognised, because this bird comes from the Americas. It's known by the rather unattractive title of the Harris hawk, which I hate. I prefer its naturalised name of the bay-winged hawk. This bird replaces the medieval goshawk, our own native large hawk species. A bird that is an out-and-out predator. Big, beautiful, powerful, but far too nervous to be able to fly at a public display. Whereas the Harris, being and leaning it enough to fly in front of you, but she will also perform in her true style. So that is what we're going to do with our parrots. We're going to demonstrate the art of hunting. And for that purpose, I require a very brave volunteer. I need someone that possesses 3 particular characteristics. This person must be small in size. They must have a big, brave heart. And they absolutely must have a fast pair of feet. So can you do that, elected lady? Oh, nice, sir. This is far too lowly a function for you. But for a young lady, this will do well. So come and join me in the arena.
Oh, there it is.
But how can I possibly refuse someone that has been volunteered by the knight himself? What is your name? Lola, fabulous name. Come with me, Lola, for I'm going to explain to you your very important task. You might think, Lola, you're going to handle or fly the hawk, and that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But guess what? You're going to be hunted by the hawk insects. Watch her little delicate face fall. Well, it'll be fun, I promise, Lola, because we're not really chasing you. We're going to go and hunt ourselves a rabbit. And hiding down in the grass here, I have Legless, my stomach bone. You have to bring Legless to life with your feet. So what I need you to do is take hold of that stick, and when I count go, you are going to run as fast as you can straight up the middle of the arena, pulling Legless behind you. You stop as soon as the hawk catches the lure. You'll feel a tug on the string when she does that, and at that point stop running, drop the stick on the floor, and I will come get you. Are you okay with that? Where's your family, Lola? Where have you come from? There's Dad. Wait back to him, just in case it's the last time you ever see each other. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this brave young lady is going to need your support when she begins the sprint for her very life this afternoon. So when she begins her run, we are going to give her a hearty clap and a cheer, and we shall see just how far Lola Rabbit manages to get. Look to where you're going to run.
It's in the castle, that's where the castle
Go! And wham, she's got you! Well done, Lola, you can stop running now. Oh, that was quite good, Lola. You got almost 3/4 of the way up the arena. And as a little reward for your bravery in the hunting field, I'm going to give you a very special and valuable gift. That comes in the form of a freshly laid bouquet that you may take home and name and well done, Lola.
Blimey.
Now, if you cast your eyes down to the hawk, this of course is the end result of the hunt. And you might find it surprisingly unimpressive, because the hawk does nothing other than try to keep hold of her pride. She is a very powerful bird indeed. All her power lies in her feet. At the point of each of her talons, she has 6 times a man's grip. So she uses those feet to not only clamp onto the rabbit, but to keep hold of it. It might drag her, it might kick her, but she has the ability to hang on. What she can't do, however, is fly away with it, because it's far too big and heavy. For the falconer must assist. He will go down on bended knee and dispatch the rabbit so that it lies still. Only when the quarry is still can he then hope to prize his hawk off it. And he does so by exchanging the rabbit for a lump of meat upon his glove. That is the way in which you hunt with a hawk, and you bag yourself a nice fresh pony for the table. Now these hawks were fabulously expensive in medieval England, and because of that they were very desirable to would-be thieves. So when I go off and get my next bird ready, I'm leaving with my husband who's going to tell you a very cautionary tale.
Anyway, that applause please for Lola Rabbit and the hawk. Well done. Again, day, hopefully you'll go over and see Mark standing over there in the gallows, and you'll learn about crimes and punishments. And some of them are very dark and obviously painful. But there's also a very painful punishment to do with the stealing of birds of prey. In fact, through most periods of history, there has been some sort of punishment because these birds were very valuable, and through most periods of history, all nest sites were property of the monarchy. But my favourite punishment is that of Edward III, not the 15th century, at the end of the 14th century. Him and his two brave sons, John and Gaunt and the Black Prince, would often go to the French wars. Coming back, well, the nests that were in the kingdom had been raided. So he came up with a punishment in 1373, which was, once the thief had been caught, carve 6 ounces of meat off his chest and feed it to the bird that he stole. Very, very painful. But obviously it didn't work, because a couple of years later he came up with another punishment, and this did work. This is how it goes. You take your thief and you take it to the marketplace on a Saturday afternoon when it's really busy, say here at Falmouth, and you tie the thief to the ground, wrist and ankle. You splay his legs by 3 feet, and of course you take off all his clothes. You then tie 6 ounces of meat to an extremely important part of his anatomy. That's it, ladies, right there. It is then written to bring in the hungriest of pork, which would be a big female gottle about the size of America, with 6 times a man's width, and you would allow the hawk to feed from where the meat was tied. And it would eat a lot more than just the 6 ounces of meat that was tied there. So the whole lot would go, but a big punishment, and it would deter bird of prey thieves. What a lovely punishment for 2013. Anyway, we turn our attention now to our oldest and smallest bird. Her name is Cadence, and she's a 16-year-old Castle Falconry.
Now this happens to be my personal favourite bird of prey. I love them so dearly that I'm privileged enough to have a career. But only one to fly here today. And it's a castle, as was just mentioned. The little shadow that you often see hovering at the sides of roads and motorways. The castle, ironically, in history, was described as an ignoble bird of prey. In other words, it was useless. And that's because it does that. It hovers. Huntsmen were only interested in birds that chase their quarry, but the thrill of the hunt is, of course, in the pursuit side. And the castle does not deliver that. In fact, it is the only member of the falcon family that does not shoot down its prey. Now, our ancestors would not have understood why that is at all, because they didn't have the benefit of scientific knowledge. But today, we know much more about this little bird. In fact, far from being inferior, the kestrel is probably one of the most important falcons in the entire world. And that's because it is one of the oldest falcons in the world. The kestrel was very likely the first falcon to evolve on planet Earth. It too, once upon a time, used to chase down its prey. But chasing things is dangerous, hard work, and it burns a lot of energy very quickly. So over millions of years, the kestrel has evolved to hover instead. Hovering utilises the energy of the wind rather than burning your own energy, and thus it's a much more efficient method of catching food. So far from being inferior, we would very likely not have peregrines if it weren't for the little kestrel. But still, in historic context, this was thought to be a rather slovenly and useful hunting bird. But that doesn't mean to say that kestrels have no purpose. In fact, there was one particular person within society that was known for flying them, and that was a young apprentice. You might have heard the phrase, kestrel for a knave. Well, that is where this idea comes from. The knave being the lowest member of the court, and the kestrel being the lowest in the hierarchy easily. Now, it is quite unsuitable for a lady of my status to be winging around a training bird. So I think it would be more appropriate for us to bring out a couple of young apprentices and allow them to have a go at flying the training bird. So might there be a child out there who would like to be my first assistant? Now, hold on, I find it very difficult to choose a subject by just putting a hand up and shouting. What I suggest you do is you jump up and down, and the person who jumps the highest will draw my attention quickest. And parents will thank me for burning off your energy. So get bouncing like you're on pogo sticks, and that will aid my selection. Well, they're all doing a pretty good workout, so I apologise, mums and dads, if they've just had lunch and they're quickly, who shall I go for? I'm going to go, well, you're sitting down, in the blue top, so we have you, young lady. Would you like to come very carefully under the safety barrier, and I shall get you prepared for your flight. Let us first remove my little pencil to a distance, and we shall prepare you with a gauntlet. What's your name? Annabelle. Could you put that glove on that hand for me, Annabelle? Walk this way, for we like a little distance to give us a half-decent flight. And then I shall place a little morsel of food on your glove. You'll want to eat. You reach out with your thumb finger, extend your arm, and pageant should, come over and take it. Here we go. Every wee beat propelling her forward, and there she is, landing very delicately on your glove. Isn't she winning tiny? You don't realise just how small she is until she lands. Now you pop that behind your thumb and squeeze. Now face your family, give them a big smile, and we shall give Annabelle a round of applause for looking very fine as training bird. Thank you very much. Well done. And what about a young man? Would be mightily unfair to not have one of each variety. So perhaps we should have a young man who's somewhere over here. How do you choose? What about you in the baseball cap? Red baseball cap, yes. You'll do nicely. You're pretty fancy down there in the yellow corner. With that thing you've got with you, that's for sure. But come on up here and join me, and we shall repeat the process with you. Come on today, young man, if you could. You want to do this or not? Lovely. What's your name? James. Pop your left hand into the glove for me, James. Once again, we shall find you water and food, and that will encourage our kestrel to come over. Now you want to pinch it, send your arm, and there she goes, swinging her way all over. Good girl. Isn't she beautiful when she's up close? You can hold her. You can swing carefully round, safety back, and let us stand the raise. Give him a cheesy smile, and we shall give this brave young apprentice a round of applause. She is very light, isn't she? And it might amaze you to know that she only weighs 7.5 ounces. So there is not much for these little birds at all. Well, thank you for your help, young man, and we shall send you back to your family. Now I shall give my little kestrel one last flight and call her into the glove. The nicest thing about this particular bird is that she's my favourite. And she's my favourite because I've had her longer than any other of my flying birds. She is the grand old age of 16 years. And that makes her a very old lady indeed. In the wild, a kestrel would not see more than about 8 years. Of course, we can double their life in captivity, but I'm hoping that Padge might do just a little bit more, because I dread to think of life without her. But she's a very special little bird to me, and a bird that deserves a small round of applause. From an inferior hunting bird to an incredibly superior hunting bird, because we're going to end our display with our absolute favourite.
Gone now. Yeah,
I ran away with the curiosity known as the Falconry.
Round of applause, please, for taking the today. And my favourite bird is this bird, because it makes you look good. He's fast, he's dynamic, and of course, he's a falcon. He's not a peregrine falcon, he's actually known as a hybrid, half peregrine, half lanner falcon. And that's quite a modern concept in 2013. You see, we have to use captive bred birds, and people have got into artificial insemination and all sorts of things, and crossing two different falcons together to try and get the best. I feel that nature already has done that over millions of years, but hey, what does nature know when it comes to mankind? However, the peregrine lanner falcon is actually a natural hybrid. It happened in this country in the Middle Ages. We know that because of what was written in the treaties of falconry in the 1500s. You see, we had lanner falcons and we had peregrines. They're of similar size and also they breed at a similar time of year. The difference between them, well, the peregrine has a heavy wing loading, the lanner has a light wing loading. So the lanners didn't actually like the fact that we had a bit of an ice age in the 13th century, and by 1700 they'd all gone and now reside in Africa. Luke here is 9 years old, and at 9 years old he's done many displays. And I suppose what I really love about him is he will show you how a falcon suits. Because everybody thinks falcons are fast. Well, when it comes to level flights, they're actually pretty useless and can't keep up with a pigeon. But once they get 300 feet above that pigeon and they fold their wings in the side, and I hope you're listening, Luke, then they can fall at speeds of over 150 miles an hour for a male, well in excess of 225 for a female. This is what we're going to be calling a training flight. Nothing is going to get caught. And anyway, the bird would have to be several hundred feet above the prey. So when Luke's flying around and there's pigeons flying around beside him, it's not so you're going to snatch it out of the air because now it's not worth it. It's got to be above. And it also can't climb up and grab the prey either, because gravity has some sort of force that stops a bird from doing that. Some idiot some time ago came out with a saying, as free as a bird. They are not free. They carry no body fat. They have no reserve. They burn energy when they fly. What they hope to do is put that energy back plus a bit more to last them to the next day. Well, I'll get this bird underway, and seeing that it's a bit of a concentration problem for me as I get older, so I'll hand over to my lady Emma now, who'll finish the commentary for you.
Now you will have to keep your eye on Luke's movements very closely, because he will course all over the airspace above us. And it's only by watching him that you truly start to appreciate the real style of this delightful bird. He's quite small and relatively unimpressive when you see him close and static. Once he takes to the air, well, it's really like poetry.
Oh, no, we've changed from blue to
He's small, which means that he's very agile, twists and turns, incredibly fast. One thing he does need to really light him up is a good stiff breeze. Strangely enough, the wind has dropped a little here this afternoon, and the forecast seems to be quite breezy. But looking at the flag on the fort, there almost certainly is something blowing around up there, but that is where Luke's going to have to go to find the breeze. At the moment, he's preparing himself for flight, and taking plenty of time about it too. You can never rush a falcon into the air, and like to have a look around, work out the weather conditions, that will dictate exactly how he flies, and of course look at the geography of the land that we're asking him to fly over.
There's the weight which he just did.
He did just lose a little weight, didn't he? And that's always a good sign. That means that they're lightening the load and preparing to go. Now it's warming up now that those clouds have broken a little. The warm air will assist him. The lanner in him, in his breathing, loves warm air. So with wind and warm, we should get a really good flight out of him. But he's being very cool about it today. Look at this. Wing drops, just letting himself air and waiting for him to rouse, which he looks like he's about to do. That's where he relaxes his feathers. There you go. Shakes them all into place, and it means we're game on. It's very short to take to the air. Now I hope that weight is going to be worth it, because this is the most delightful bird that we've ever had the pleasure of training and working with. And it takes a little time to warm up, which is what he's doing right now. Pumping out tree, getting the lift off the kids, getting some height,
boy.
and then coming
Whoa.
back over to check us out. Now, buzz a few times, just until he works out exactly how to make the best of the scoring area, and then he can start.
Very good.
Now, I told you to get the time too far. He will
Like where
today.
come back. Days later, they come
Go around, reposition himself, and then come into the face. Folding his wings to rearing around and coming swooping at ground level, trying to ambush the target. Falcons don't always shoot from a great height. Sometimes they'll rush cut to try and grab you from below. But shooting is what this falcon is really designed to do. And it's a precision style of hunting. They can pull off in a millisecond. They can almost touch the nostril hair.
Come on!
If they just manage to pull out in 1 second, they will keep working and trying hard. And you'll see as he comes down these streets
Come on, boy.
and comes out of it, his feathers will bend and turn. Now, without much wind today, he's putting in a really good effort. He kept practicing by the height that he was achieving. And the sheer enjoyment that we're getting from watching this was the whole point of doing it in history. You didn't have to You provided this type of flight as a form of entertainment.
Come on!
Holding his position and then pushing right down to the ground. This is the Porter's King. All coming out of the sun at you. Lovely, isn't it? Dazzling display
Go on. Right, where the sun.
and now putting
Coming out.
after scoop after scoop. You can imagine if a pigeon was at the delivering end of this. So grown, tired.
Come on!
Absolutely stunning. He's really getting to warm up.
Oh,
Getting
yes.
to the swing of it now. Vertical after vertical.
Who's going to be
Well, before the old man climbs out of the duck, maybe we should slow him down. Come on,
Whoa!
this is magic word. Go on.
One more.
So hard.
We're enjoying this.
That's the word he wants to hear. It means dinner's up. We should strike his train and land very safely on the ground. Well, that's all for very I hope that everybody's meeting, watching all of our flying team, learning just a little about what we achieved to make birds of prey so terribly precious and special. If you'd like to meet our special falcon, Luke, more closely, well, frankly, you lot have got a fairly good eyeball from over there, haven't you? But in a few minutes' time, we'll be taking you back to our cage view, where we'll be reopening the cage and you can see all 12 of our flying birds. And if you don't know where we are, we're the gold and white tent, striped tent, at the back of the retail marquee over by the sea wall. So thank you, company, and enjoy a fabulous day here at Pendennis Castle. Thank you.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that was fantastic. Give them a big round of applause. Mike and Emma Raphael and Raphael and Sir Falconry. Well done. Good prize.
Oh, come on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, still today, we have at 2:45, starting in a few moments, our Jester, Peter King. He's sitting up towards the jousting arena. Here he comes. And here we have some fun over there. At 3:30 we have the main joust, where our 4 knights will be going against each other for points today. It's still rather close, and it is a real competition, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure you see the joust. That's at 3:30 in the jousting arena. At 4:30 we have our executioner, Gilbert Savage. He'll be over by the keep. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we still buy the flags. And t-shirts from our white tent. Still be available on the screen. Lovely beer. So enjoy your day. Thank you.
That was amazing. Very good close video of that. Nice.
A peregrine can outstoop from about 1,000 feet. But the nice thing about him is he can show the stoop from 300 feet. So for doing displays, it's exactly what we want. And we don't always get a glorious big open space like this. Sometimes we're sent to curtain wall castles or places where it's very tight. And having a small falcon, I can still show the stoop. It's quite nice. He's been the most useful falcon I've had and the best falcon I've had for reliable control. It stops disease and it stops inferior prey breach. But they look good when they're flying, and I suppose because everything about the bird is spot on to us magpies that we like the look of. And it is a predator, top predator. Yeah, when he's whipping through there, he gets a wind. We had him out the other week in Pendennis Castle, very, very windy, 26 miles an hour. And his wings were shaking and rattling as he was coming in, and he was looking back, and came past me so fast to get the lair out of his way. Someone just said, silly old shot all over. But it is getting difficult to keep the lair away from him. Back to the tent. Thank you.
Cheers, thanks a lot.